Hello, and welcome to another Prime Fiddle Time. So today we are making one of my very favorite projects. We are going to be doing cityscapes and superheroes. Do you want to learn how to do it? Awesome. So the first thing you're going to be working with today is your glossy paper. You can feel it, it's got like a nice smooth finish to it. And our crayons. And our first step is we're just going to get color all over our paper. So you can do a rainbow, you can mix colors. So I personally am just gonna add color to every bit of my paper. So go ahead and pause here while you're adding your colors on, okay? Don't worry if you're blending them, that's only gonna add to the fun. Ready? And pause. Alrighty. Hey, did you get a chance to look at the instructions? Great. So when I mentioned we were going to add color to our paper and it could just be color everywhere, I totally meant it. So you can see how there's color everywhere on my paper, not necessarily very neat. Well, that's because we're gonna do some painting over it. So we're going to actually paint over it. So that's okay if your color is all splotchy and all over the place. That's really the goal. So I'll take some of my paint from my cup. You really don't need a lot of water or even any water at all for this. You just want a nice even coat of paint. I know it's hard to watch your paint go over your color, huh? But I promise this is gonna be super fun when it's all done. So while I'm spreading this out, why don't you go ahead and pause here? It will give you some time to take a look at your supplies and also to do your own painting. And pause. Okay, let's take a look. So this is probably what your paint's going to look like. Not super gloppy. You can sort of see your color peeking through, but it's mostly all covered. So you're going to want to set that aside somewhere where you're not afraid of it dripping. I've got a piece of table paper down for myself, and give it some time to dry. While you're waiting on that, we can do some exploring with the rest of our kit. So in my kit, I've got this, well, what is it? So it's a person, but it's sort of fragmented. So we've got some things that we recognize, maybe a head and a neck, a hand. Our goal is going to be to start putting it together in a fun way for ourselves. So we can start with some of our obvious pieces. If you can identify a head, you might start with that. And the rest of our pieces, we're going to be collaging together. Some of them are really large, some of them are really small. If you want to connect a really large piece, like a hand, to a smaller piece, all you have to do is attach it to one of these cylinder-like pieces. And what that does is it makes something look like it's coming out towards you. Does that make sense? So go ahead and pause, start cutting out your pieces, figuring out which ones you want to use and don't want to use, and then we'll take a look at them all together once we've started gluing them down. Okay, ready, and pause. Awesome work, that looks amazing. Whew, it was a lot of work too, wasn't it? So now that you have all your little pieces cut out, you can start figuring out how you want to arrange them on your paper. So check to make sure your paper's dry. Mine is all dry. So I'll start taking my pieces. I'll start with my head and my glue stick. So now I'll start to glue my pieces down and connect them really however I like. It's sort of like a puzzle. But there's a couple neat tricks I'll show you on. So if I want this extra large hand to look like it's coming towards me, I'll grab a couple of connecting pieces, these really small pieces, put them in between. I'll use one of my little cylinder pieces that we talked about and overlap it. And now because of that cylinder, it makes it look like the hand is coming out towards you. So I'll give you a moment to pause, go ahead and start putting your pieces down, and then we'll check in together. Ready? And pause. Awesome. Let's take a look to see how it's coming along together. So it's a little wonky and you can keep playing with it, but it starts to give you the idea that your figure is in sort of an action pose, which is one of the things that we think of when we think about superheroes. So because our project today is superheroes and cityscapes, I'm going to show you how we're going to make our cityscapes and make this creature a little bit more of a superhero too. So your paper is all dry. You can take your popsicle stick, lay it down, and you can start adding, well, you can start drawing some lines into your design. I'm going to give them a cape. I'm drawing with my popsicle stick, and I'm finding all that color I put in underneath. I'm starting to scratch it out in places. I'm finding some colors underneath. Got some really good yellows down here. So go ahead and pause here while you look for what colors are underneath your drawing. And pause. All right, let's take a look. So I'm starting to give my superhero a superhero cape. And I think also, because we're thinking about cityscapes or skylines, I'm going to draw some simple, or rather scratch out some simple rectangular shapes for buildings. Maybe scratch in some windows. And what I'm doing is I'm creating the idea of a superhero maybe flying above a city skyline. Oops. Now there's no templates for drawing our buildings in your kits because really we're just scratching out rectangles, and we can also make our buildings very interesting shapes. So I'm going to give one a point and a rounded top. I'm rotating my popsicle stick so I can scratch out different parts, show color in new areas. Bring my lines down. I might add a moon in the background. Scratching out those colors underneath. So go ahead and pause while you scratch out your designs and we'll check in together. And pause. Okay, let's take a look together. So at this point, I've got my superhero, all my parts laid down. Remember, you can move yours around in whatever action pose you want to create. I've started to scratch my buildings out, revealing all of that color underneath. I can always decide if I want to do just an outline or if I want to go in to reveal more colors. And it's sort of a surprise what color they have underneath at this point. I've got my chimney, my moon, my superhero cape flying behind him. And that is our superheroes and cityscapes. Awesome job. I love what you created. Make sure to come back for the next Prime Fiddle Time, okay? Thanks. Bye.